Do not mess up my name.
Recording in progress.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, 6:30 p.m. This is the City of Franklin Common Council meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Alderman Pecorelli.
Here.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Here.
Alderman Hassan.
Here.
Alderwoman Day.
Here.
Alderman Barber.
Here.
Alderman Craig.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hold on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, as we move forward, I've been reading this City of Franklin meeting rules of decorum for attendees and participants. There's a laminated copy up at the podium and copies at the brown piece of office furniture. City of Franklin meeting rules of decorum for attendees and participants. For those attending City of Franklin meetings, number 1, respectful and orderly conduct is expected at all times. Number 2, disruptive or unruly behavior, including but not limited to clapping, verbal disruptions, signs, and outbursts will not be tolerated. For those wishing to speak during the City of Franklin meetings, number 1, approach the microphone when the chair opens the floor for citizen comments. Number 2, state your name and address for the record. Number 3, address your comments to the Common Council, Board, Commission, or Committee only. That's up here. Number 4, limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. I'll be the timekeeper. Number 5, no endorsements or electioneering are allowed. Number 6, speakers shall refrain from presenting unduly repetitious, offensive, threatening, slanderous, defamatory, or obscene remarks. Number 7, persons wishing to speak as a spokesperson on behalf of a neighborhood, subdivision, homeowners, condominium, or business association or similar group with common interests shall demonstrate their qualifications to do so accordingly to City of Franklin Resolution Number 2007-6227 before speaking on that body's behalf. Questions may be answered immediately by the chair or referred to city staff for a future reply in a timely manner. Those not adhering to these rules of decorum for attendees and participants will be asked to leave or be removed from the meeting if necessary. So with that said, I'm going to open up citizen comment period. And if you wish to come up to the microphone at the podium, we'll start. And if you wish to speak after that, please fall in behind because we've got a long agenda night ahead of us. So it's open at this time. Anybody wishing to speak?
Orville Seymour, 3020 West Acre Avenue.
Is it working?
49-year resident, City of Franklin. I was here last month when Forward Appraisal, a new appraisal service in Franklin, put on their presentation. And I got to tell you, I found it to be very, very off-putting. And it was like my way or the highway. That was the impression I got. So I decided to look into this outfit a little bit. According to the Nicole Tesh, the young woman who put on the presentation, she broke up Franklin into 8 different districts, 8 different neighborhoods, I should say. Now, we already have 6 different aldermanic districts, as you know. So I don't know why 8 was the number. As you know, real estate values can easily vary from one street to another, let alone from one neighborhood to another, one aldermanic district to another. Why can't they have a more detailed neighborhood plan? Board Appraisal was formed in 2006, and to date, it has been administratively dissolved by the state 4 different times. I don't know if any of you know that or not. 4 different times. Okay. When I asked Ms. Tesh about this, she said it was a paperwork error. Well, the people who are paid quite well to get the paperwork right can't seem to get their own paperwork right. If you go to the Forward Appraisal website, you'll find they have 2 other clients besides the City of Franklin. One is a city in Nakusa, a small town in central Wisconsin, about 2,400 residents. The other is the village of Coloma, another very small town in central Wisconsin, about 450 people. I visited both these towns, very beautiful little towns, very nice small towns, But in comparison to Franklin, which is about 35,000 people, I think you can see the disconnect. I've been told that Ford Appraisal Hall does work in La Crosse and Green Bay, and I've asked for any contract that the Ford Appraisal has with Green Bay. It's been 2 weeks. They've not gotten back to me. La Crosse has their own appraisal employees on staff. If you look at their website, so it's pretty easy to tell. So I don't think that Mr. Stephen Shepro is apparently the owner of Forward Appraisal has anything to do with La Crosse. I did discover that Mr. Stephen Shepro, who again appears to be the owner of Forward Appraisal, he did sign a contract with the City of Franklin, and he is assessor in the city of Wisconsin Rapids, which has a population of about 19,000 people. So far, it appears in Franklin, there's been about 350 people that have challenged their assessment this year. I don't know if that's high or low, because I haven't had a chance to compare it to previous years. So, but kind of put that in perspective. I did receive a phone call a few weeks ago from one of the people who apparently was involved in bringing Forward Appraisal to Franklin, and he was very angry with me that I was even asking these questions, looking into this. When we signed a contract with Forward Appraisal last February, this might be a small little thing, but I think it's significant, okay? They have a P.O. box in Green Bay, okay? Mr. Shepro apparently lives in Plover, which is quite a distance from Green Bay. Again, I don't know if they've got any contact with Green Bay or not, or any business dealings with Green Bay, but it seems strange that you would do business with an outfit. Just for the record here, we paid the City of Franklin that's got a contract with Forward Appraisal of $830,000 over 3 years, $550,000 just this year alone. To me, that's an awful lot of money for two people that they've given us. One of them is the daughter of the owner, Mr. Stephen Shepro. Okay,
3:30, sir. 3:30.
okay. So I just think that you've got to start asking some questions about this outfit, because so far I've been highly unimpressed with them so far. Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. Welcome.
Good evening. Hello, Joy Dragina Zingales, 7573 Highview Drive, Greendale. I've been watching a couple of the videos regarding the meetings pertaining to the rewrite of the noise ordinances, so on and so forth. So in 2023, there was a new event specialist who was promoted. Since then, I've been looking at applications for the ROC. And in looking over these applications, I'm seeing many have not been completed properly pertaining to the sound control plan. From what I have seen, there's no mention of how noise will be mitigated for many of the events at the ROC, including the upcoming Snow Globe. Yet the board would like to increase the allowed decibel level to 65. Don't you think there should be a mitigation plan in place before we allow a higher decibel level, considering it is a requirement of the application? With this being said, I also would like to address the sound monitors. Numerous times this summer and fall, the monitors were offline. This is rather puzzling, as we were told more than once by ROC staff, and Jason Craig was at one of those, it was during, before Red, White, and Blue. And we were told numerous times that they have to manually be turned on and off. So that raises some questions. I also know that they use cellular service, and we've been told many times, oh, it must be the cellular service. I live right across the street from the East Monitor. We're using the same tower. If my cell service is working, their cell service is working. So I have a lot of questions regarding when and why these are being turned on and off. It seems rather convenient as of late, and I do believe it's something that should be addressed. And we also cannot seem to get a direct answer on who is in charge of looking at the monitors, who is in charge of issuing the violations, when they're issuing the violations, and what part of the monitor data they're looking at. We have yet to get a clear, precise answer. And this needs to be taken care of. This was a promise that was given to us from Mayor Nelson when the media got involved. It was also a promise when the resolution to follow the ordinances that are already in place was approved. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome.
Dana Gint, 9011 West Hawthorne Lane. I'm here to talk on item G6, which is the ordinance rewrite. I have a question. Is the noise ordinance that's being rewritten going to apply for the Rock Sports Complex? I'm talking about the municipal code and also the ordinance rewrite. I would really appreciate an answer regarding that. If you can address that during
But
that
we're not
item.
going to have a Q&A right now.
No, I'm saying during that item, in that item, that would be excellent. The other comment I have is regarding G10. Obviously, a periodic review was a requirement that's in the resolution. It's in there numerous times. I'll even read a paragraph to you. Any event or series running continuously for weeks or months shall require a permit conditioned upon language for council and staff to review of immediate mitigative or corrective action. So, for example, the Hills Has Eyes, which transpired for weeks, should have had a periodic review. And then you would have discovered that the monitors are randomly turned off. And also the umbrella bar, which was really very loud for numerous events, should have also had a periodic review, except you waited till the last concert to do that. So obviously a periodic review is something that was committed to numerous times in this resolution. Basically, this resolution that was approved 9 months ago to follow your own existing laws has not been followed in numerous ways. And I could go through pages to explain that, but I won't, because I'll just tell you that it just has not been followed. And it's just overwhelming that for the solutions to the noise problems was on at least a dozen agenda items at the City of Franklin. After the whole tacos and tequila news coverage, audio tapes being played all over about the atrocity of how much the noise traveled for miles, including profanity. And the exact same thing you guys allowed to happen in 2024, only allowed it to happen for 2 days instead. By the way, is the council aware that the police has not issued any violations or citations for either the taco tequila or the Face Fest, even though the decibel monitors showed that the decibel levels were 15 to 40 decibels above the permit? And on top of that, the profanity violates Chapter 178 regarding obscene language and things like that. And that did happen on both days, by the way, because it's in the complaints. I know there's people that want to say it's not, and the taco wasn't as loud. I totally disagree with that, and the complaints show that. There were dozens of complaints filed online and with the police department. And the other concern is that with the review of the snow globe, the Enchant application and all the details were on the Common Council packet in October of 2023. But this same event, well, it's similar, Snow Globe by the operators of the Taco Tequila, by the way, there's no information on the public packet. So how are citizens supposed to know, like, what is the mitigation plan? What are the details of this? All the information for special events should be in the public packet. The resolution, several aldermen brought that up, that it should be a public document, so not only everyone that's not on the license committee can review it, but also the public can know what's going on with these events. So basically, the snow globe needs to include a periodic review, so if the noise is a problem, that it can be turned down and adjusted to protect the neighbors for 25 days. Seriously. We should not be forced to listen to music or interfere with our family and friends over for the holidays for 25 days. If it's too loud, it's too loud. It needs to be turned down. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else wishing to speak at this time? Seeing no one, close citizen comment period. Moving on to C, approval of minutes, regular common council meeting of November 6, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. See no further discussion. All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to D, hearings. This will be a hearing on the annual budget. And Madam Director of Finance, do you want to read a description, or are we going to go right into the notice? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Okay, notice of public hearing for the 2025 proposed budget. City of Franklin, Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Section 65.90, parens 3, Wisconsin State Statutes, that a public hearing will be held on Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 at 6:30 PM or shortly thereafter at 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin, on the City of Franklin 2025 proposed budget. Any resident or taxpayer shall have the opportunity to be heard thereon. A summary of the proposed budget herewith and a copy of the complete proposed budget is available for public inspection at the Franklin City Hall and at the Franklin Public Library during normal business hours. The proposed budget is also available online at www.franklinwi.gov.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So these public hearings, I'm going to open it now at 6:45 PM. Anybody wishing to speak on the matter of the budget, this public hearing is now open. Come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Going once. Close public hearing at 6:45 PM. Moving on to letter E, organizational matters. Unless there's cause for separate action, I'd like to put all these three together at once. Number one, Christopher Dahl, 9949 South 31st Street, Alderman D4, Library Board, 3-year unexpired term expiring June 30th of 2025. Number two, William Elliott, 8160 South Steepleview Drive, Alderman D2, Tourism Commission, 1-year unexpired term expiring December 31st, 2024. Number three, William Elliott again, 8160 South Steepleville Drive, D2, Tourism Commission, 1-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Motion to move.
Second.
First, seconded by Alderman Barber. Roll call, please. Your little card.
Alderman Pecorelli.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye. Excellent. 6 ayes, no noes. Motion carries. Moving on to letter F as in Frank. There are no letters. We are going to make a change here. We are going to entertain item G10. That'll be first, and then we'll move back into regular order. So under G10, this will be entertainment and special events, Snow Globe Holiday Festival permit update brought forth by Alderwoman Courtney Day and Alderman Jason Craig. Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. So the reason this is back on the agenda this evening, as was alluded to a few moments ago in public comment, there was a provision in a resolution that the council adopted, Resolution 2024-8109, back on March 5th, 2024. A copy of that is in the packet here. So if you go to, in our packet, page 122, item number 5, under the noise monitoring compliance and complaints. Number 5 states, under circumstances when repeated or a series of events continues over weeks or months, the permit shall provide for a periodic review as included in the permit. Periodic review is a condition of the permit. Review of compliance with permit compliance shall include noise complaints and any event complications or documented exceedances of decibel levels. So we failed to include that when we made the motion to approve the event back in September. So I wanted to add that in for a variety of reasons. I believe we had a similar stance last year where we asked the applicant to come in at some point to give an update on what was going on. It also gives a point of course correction if something is not going according to the permit. But I want to be clear that if something were to be done in a manner that was not in compliance with the permit that was given, the applicant would be asked to course correct that at the time that that violation was substantiated. it would not wait until this particular periodic review. So if for some reason on November 27th, there was a massive issue with parking and a bunch of people started parking where they shouldn't park, if there was a massive issue with noise, those issues, I'm sure we would hear about almost instantaneously. They would be brought to the applicant. They would be course corrected at that time. This is not meant to supplement that. This is not meant to say that nothing would get addressed until whenever this periodic review would happen. We'd still follow our normal complaint processes. This is simply following the ordinance as it reads to have an event that is of a longer duration come back in for review if necessary. So with that being said, the date that I thought made the most sense was December 3rd. It's a couple of weeks into it. So if there are problems, hopefully they are course corrected at that point, and hopefully by that point we'll be able to hear from the event organizers how well it is going with the changes they made this year.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any further comments?
I have a question.
Mr. Piccirilli?
Yeah, so reading through the resolution text in here, there's let's see, under process of review, it's number 4. It has in here, any event or series running continuously for weeks or months shall require a permit conditioned upon language for council and staff to review of immediate mitigative or correction action. So to that, does that allow for, so getting back to your point of if there's something that comes up that can get addressed right away, is there any other, from a staff standpoint, components that need to be in the language of the permit to ensure that those are getting reviewed on top of the going forward, having that reviewed at December 3rd?
Alderwoman Day?
To my knowledge, that is already covered in the permit that we already approved back in September. I'm open to others up here if they have a different interpretation of that.
You yield?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I believe it's already covered.
Okay.
There is a motion here to be made. Is there a motion?
My motion would be to approve the addition of the periodic review of the Snow Globe Holiday Festival at the December 3rd, 2024 Common Council meeting.
Second.
So we've got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll go back to item G1, regular order of business. Ordinance adopting the 2025 annual budgets for the general, civic celebrations, St. Martin's Fair donations, grants, solid waste collection, sanitary sewer, capital outlay, equipment replacement, street improvement, capital improvement, debt service, development, utility development, TID 5, TID 6, TID 7, TID 8, TID 9, American Recovery Act, opioid settlement fund, and internal service funds, and establishing the tax levy, establishing the solid waste fee and other revenue for the city of Franklin. Madam Director of Finance? So we're working on getting that presentation up? So are we going back to my family vacation videos from 1980, or are we, okay.
Please, please.
I don't know how to get it up there from my computer.
All right, so folks, we're gonna try to wait for this budget part, but if,
In the office. Here's one. I didn't know you sent it.
so you've been spared, 1980 trip to the Dells,
Thank you.
about a 3-hour video. A lot of crying in that video, too.
Yours isn't working. Sorry.
We're gonna move on to G2.
Why don't we
Move to G2.
as this is going, that's okay. It's a big deal. So we're going to move forward to G2, item G2, for those that are here. D6, ordinance to amend, this is a good thing, ordinance to amend the Unified Development text at table 15-3.0603, standard industrial classification title 1521, single-family housing construction, to allow for such use as a special use in the VB Village Business District, NEMI Construction. Is there a motion on this?
Move to approve.
Good.
Second.
First and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. G3, D6. Resolution imposing conditions and restrictions for the approval of a special use for a design, build, remodeling business use upon property located at 11123 West St. Martin's Road, Neiman Construction. Is there a motion on this?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
First and a second. Any further discussion? Do you want to do a welcoming thing?
Nah, it's all right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, folks. Kind of worked out well. Are we going back to one, or should I keep
I
rolling?
didn't hear who made any of those motions.
Michelle and Yusuf.
Michelle and Yusuf.
Yep, rock and roll. One more, G4, we'll get that.
Did you two?
We did 2 and 3. Motion to approve the Director of Health and Human Services to accept the 2025 Division of Public Health Consolidated Contracts to continue funding Health Department grants. Good evening, Madam Director. Is there a motion for this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and seconded by Alderman Craig. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. What?
Move on to the next two, which is Health Department.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going until they're ready. G5, a resolution authorizing the Director of Health and Human Services to execute the RBJ Community Consulting Project contract.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and seconded by Alderman Craig. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Are we ready to go back to 1? Yeah, I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Mr. City Attorney.
Did raise my hand before the vote. But on the one the council just voted on, the RBJ contract, the resolution does allow for changes by the Director of Administration, Director of Health and Human Services, and the City Attorney. And just for your information, with regard to what they're doing under the contract. as
Officer.
their Services, was considered by staff. And the reason is because with regard to the standard insurance provisions, did anybody make copies? Sure. They basically, it's a small, single-owned company, and all they do is provide general commercial liability at a limit of $1 million and professional liability with also a $1 million limit. So the handout right now shows what the change would be to the insurance provisions. If there's any issue with that, it would require a motion to reconsider. If there's no issue with it, council can move forward to the next item.
Okay.
No issues.
I don't believe there's any issues, so let's. Good, thank you, well done. Are we ready to go back to G1 now?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to regular order of G1.
Sure.
Madam Director of Finance.
Okay, so I will start while we get this pulled up. The day is finally here for the final adoption of the 2025 Mayor's Recommended Budget. Well, that's okay. Put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, starting back in June. So I'd like to start with just a process to date, where we started from and where we're at now. So starting back in June, we started the process of meeting with department heads having department heads provide their capital improvement requests, provide their operating budgets, having discussions between administrative staff and finance staff to determine feasible budgets for this coming year. On September 17th, the mayor's recommended budget was introduced. And then between September and October, the Finance Committee met 4 different times to produce their recommended changes to the Common Council based on what they saw in the mayor's recommended budget. 2 different times, one on October 15th and one on November 6th. The Common Council adopted Finance Committee updates to the budget. October 30th, the public hearing notice was published, and then now we are here for final adoption and public hearing of the budget. So just some major highlights. I'll let the Director of Administration talk about some of the challenges that we have that took us through this budget very, very slowly.
So it's no secret that we have had a delay in our tax assessment statement. We are currently looking at a date of second week of December receiving that information. And obviously there's the revenue growth is slow compared to our needs, and it lags behind inflation. There's economic pressures and also delays that are creating issues for our budget, or at least challenges for our budget. Some of these delays are in some of our TIDs. Some of them are for projects that we've been working on over the years that are just going slow for a myriad of reasons. And then obviously we are committed to our personnel, and we are not, we're maintaining our personnel. However, it is a struggle to balance our operating budget with our revenue, and also continue to offer the high level of service that the community is used to. Go ahead.
Okay, so to piggyback off of the first part that the Director of Administration talked about, which was the delay in the statement of assessment, Board of Review is meeting tomorrow. That is extremely late in the year compared to previous years, which has caused an issue on creating a tax rate and a tax levy. So these next 2 slides are going to be very preliminary, so I want to make that clear right off the bat. But it's based on a very accurate projection from the assessor based on what their assessment values were prior to Board of Review changes. So I don't anticipate much change in the levy and or the tax rate, but again, just want to make sure that the council and the community is aware that these are preliminary due to us having to wait for those finalized assessments. So with the tax levy, that's based on net new construction, and the net new construction is the total new construction of equalized value in the community, and then we minus out the equalized value of any demolition that was done within the community. So in this case, we had a net new construction value of 1.58%, which was $97 million in equalized value increase. That contributed to roughly $155,000 in our levy, which is not a lot. So the overall preliminary levy increase that we have attributed into this budget is $432,800, and that's due to the $155,000 in net new construction levy, and then also some additional debt service levy to balance out our budget. In that case, that is a 2.9% tax increase on the residents. Again, that can fluctuate, but that is the current rate. And then the property equalized value average residential increase of 6% on the average home in the city of Franklin. So you can see over the last 10 years, our levy has increased from $20.5 million to now $23.8 million. Last year it was $23.4 million, so that's where the $432,000 increase was. So on to the tax rate. Again, a preliminary assessed value tax rate last year, as you can see on the graph, last year it was at $4.05. This year the preliminary tax rate is $3.90 per thousand in value. It's a 15-cent decrease, but you can see the average resident tax impact. What that does is that breaks it down that for every $100,000 your home is in assessed value, you will see an $11 roughly increase on your taxes.
Can you move that,
Oh, sure.
please? Thank you.
So again, please be aware the final tax rate won't be confirmed until probably the second week of December. I anticipate tax bills going out roughly the second week of December, depending on when we can finalize that tax rate. But by state statute, tax bills are to be mailed out by December 16th this year. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that as well.
Could you say that again? Sometimes people don't catch that.
That's okay. You'll actually see it in the newsletter as well. So we anticipate sending out the tax bills the second week of December. However, state statute requires us to have them sent out by the third Monday of December, which happens to be December 16th this year. So it will be available earlier online, but if for some reason we don't get the statement of assessment in time, tax bills will be mailed out on the 16th.
So we'll still be in compliance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Overall, the general fund, which makes up the majority of the funds in the city of Franklin, our state shared revenue, which is also the additional revenue that we have received, that we have to be in compliance with the maintenance of effort in our public safety services. State shared revenue this year is roughly $875,000, so we did get a $20,000 increase from last year. And just to remind you guys that we do have to file the maintenance of effort report by July 1st every year, and that does require us to maintain the same level of public safety service year over year from the prior year. We don't qualify for the expenditure restraint program anymore. That is due to the low tax rate that we have. You qualify if your tax rate is higher than $5 per thousand in value. This budget, even with the proposed changes tonight, still are balanced. The only fund balance at this time that we plan to use is for a one-time capital use on two different Wisconsin DOT projects that we have committed to. Overall, the personnel costs that have gone up in this budget is roughly $665,000, and that is for a 2% increase for non-represented employees and additional market adjustments, and we had no new positions added to this budget, and also no positions deducted either. And then just basic general fund details, we increased the revenues by $622,000 and then also increased expenditures by $622,000. And I just want to point out, if you're wondering why the personnel costs are higher than the expenditure costs, it's because some of those personnel costs get allocated to different funds. And I'll talk about that later in one of the amendments. A few main points that I can point out within this budget is capital spending. We have a capital improvement plan for the next 5 years. I've continued to encourage department heads to keep me updated on future projects as they come up throughout the year, not just at budget time, but as they come up so we can add them to the plan and introduce them to our borrowing plan as well. Department requests accompanied $17.9 million this year. However, we only plan to use $8.1 million. And I just want to point out that the resources that we have for those capital funds, it's landfill siting revenue, tax levy, use of impact fees, interest income, fund balance, and then transportation aid. We have no extraordinary contributions for the OPEB trust. We are fully funded at this moment. I know we've made some extraordinary contributions in years past, but the interest market has really helped us get to that fully funded position right now. There is no anticipated borrowing. However, I did want to point out that there was some discussion at the last council meeting about funding the DPW expansion project and some of the challenges that have come up with that project. And then if there's any other projects that come up throughout the year, they may require a borrowing. So for right now, there is nothing planned. I know last year we increased the solid waste fee by $20. That was to get us up to a point where we were able to keep up with the expenditures. We had not increased The fees roughly for about 5 years. We increased it slightly in 2021 and 2022, but we needed to make that jump last year to get us ahead this year. We are able to keep it flat, so the solid waste fee is going to stay the same for 2025. And then if Kelly wants to touch on the UDO, if there's any updates, if it's going to be completed in 2025?
That is the goal. That is also on the agenda for tonight, and I think I will defer to our planning manager. Yes, thank you.
But we wanted to point out that they've been working really hard on that for the last couple of years and hope to finalize that as well.
Absolutely. So some of our plan changes, we're potentially looking at increasing the sewer rate due to rising MMSD costs for projects that we are working on. We also are excitedly looking forward to implementing ClearGov and our digital budgeting software, which should greatly impact and improve our website with significant transparency and ability to run reports and have various sections of our budget emailed and creating a PDF of whatever sections from the entire book to certain sections. It'll also give our staff the ability to make changes and run different scenarios for their departments without actually impacting the budget, and then providing that to both council and to management. And then we will be working with the personnel committee to develop an employee merit pool policy.
Okay, so the second most important fund is our debt service fund. This year, the debt service levy went up by $40,000. That was needed to support the debt service payments that were going out in 2025. Multiple funding sources that we have for existing GO debt, general obligation debt, is general city funds. We have water debt, sewer debt, and then debt in TID, all of them actually, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 at the moment. We are going to still continue to experience debt shortfall within a few of the TIDs, so we have to ensure that the developers are aware. And then I know that we have had some communication with some development on the assessment timing issue and how the Department of Revenue generates tax increment, and so we will continue to work with those developers to determine what the shortfall is going to be and then how it will be corrected next year. We're going to continue to maintain a future borrowing plan that's in concert with our capital improvement plan, and like I stated before, continuing to have conversations with department heads to determine their future needs so that we can build a future borrowing plan to accommodate that. And then any one-time large projects will require increased borrowing compared to the current plan, but again, as long as there's communication and transparency, we should be able to build the future borrowing plan in concert with the capital improvement plan. So that's just some major highlights of the current budget. I know you guys have heard a lot about this from the mayor's recommended budget. There hasn't been too many changes, so we wanted to answer any questions prior to introducing a few of the additional proposed amendments that we have on the agenda.
Okay, so I'll start off with thanking both of you coming forth with this plan, and how when we talked about bringing forth challenges, problems, concerns, starting in January. So we didn't want to wait. We wanted to bring everything out, whether it was Finance Committee, working with council, bringing the things and the challenges up right away that we knew we were going to have, or we didn't expect we were going to have, that were going to linger as long as they did. But the whole plan of that, and I think it was a very successful plan, is to bring all the council members in from square one, day one, bring them in. Here's our issues, here's our concerns. How are we, as an elected body, going to put forth a very responsible and fiscally responsible, because we are bound by that to take care of our city. And I believe that what we brought forth today and the final vote today shows that. So I'll yield for now. Alderwoman Day, you.
Nothing on the current.
Alderman Barber?
Will the treasurer's office be able to handle the influx of tax payments that come in from the 16th to the 31st?
Yeah, so last year tax bills went out actually on the 18th, so we have a few days ahead of us this time. But we do hire additional cashiers to take care of the additional payments.
There should be no problem with that.
Nope.
Mr. Piccarelli?
Is this presentation going to be available on the website at all?
We can absolutely post it on the website after tonight, yep.
That'd be good, thank you. And then the second question I have is, so we talked about labor costs, right, the personnel costs. What roughly percentage is that of the overall budget?
80.
80?
70?
I would have to do the calculation, but it's between 78 to 80% is what it has been for the last few years.
All right, thank you.
And on that note, that's pretty much the norm. So, and I'll say this, I know the 6 electeds up here know this. Counselor probably doesn't, so he'll act surprised, that when you take our tax bill and you look at that and you've got the taxing entities and you look at what part of the city of Franklin tax budget you've got, that little budget amounts about 20%-ish.
About 24.
So, and that's all you've got to work with. So when say, people, my taxes, well, you really have to look at that pie chart that you're going to see and how that breaks things down. And that's a great, that's it. I mean, that's how this breakdown is. So we don't have a lot of money to work through. And when the staff, which is the norm in all the communities, I go to the ICC meetings, that's 19 municipalities show up for that. We're between that 78 to 80, every single one of them. So we're not unique at all. Any further discussion, or we're going to go for the motion?
There's no motion yet.
Are we doing the amendments?
Go ahead.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, we'll just jump into the few proposed amendments that we have for tonight. I did want to put up here just the basic changes that have already been approved, both on October 15th and November 6th. So again, if you guys want to take a look at that. Still maintains a flat budget for our general fund. We have 4 proposed amendments for tonight. I did give you the handout at the beginning of the session. That is the schedule of what you will see in the 4 amendments. The first one, I will let the Director of Administration take on, and then I'll take the last 3.
So we have a building going up on 76 and Ryan. Maybe some of you have noticed. It's Karma. However, there is a significantly larger area that's considered the TID area. We have recently, in various meetings, found out that there will be road work that will be happening through WISDOT significantly sooner than what we were planning. Right now, they are looking at, I want to say, I think it was spring of 2025, that they will start construction. So what we have done is we're trying to be mindful of the road work that they are doing and ensure that we are also doing projects in advance of that road work, so that way when things like sewer, which is exactly what this would do, the project would be to take the sewer across 76th Street, and then that way it is ready to be used for future development on the northwest side of 76 and Ryan. And if we wait to do that after WISDOT has completed their road work, we obviously will have quite a bit of problems. And one of those will be that it'll be significantly more expensive because we will be required to restore whatever damage that we had done under construction. So what we are trying to do is get ahead of this and align what current projects we have and what projects we have teed up along with the WISDOT projects to ensure that these projects are coming through in a timely order versus doing things in reverse.
And then I'll just speak to the financial aspect of that. Taking the sewer across 76th Street is already included in a development agreement that we have with Karma. So that's nothing new. The problem was we anticipated that to happen a few years later. But the urgency to get that done now while the other road work is being done is what has prompted this amendment change. The other challenging part was the financial aspect. So TID 9 currently has no tax increment in it to pay for infrastructure like this. So we anticipated taking $750,000 from the sewer fund and doing in advance since we have additional cash on hand in the sewer fund, and it's a sewer project. And then as TID increment comes in within TID 9, we will then pay the advance back to the sewer fund. So that, unless you guys have any questions on that first one.
Alderman Craig.
With that, as you said, that there's additional cash on hand, will that be something that, as we wait for that increment to expand in TID 9, would that cause any sort of, hardship on the sewer fund by removing that $750,000?
No, so what we would do is we would start developing increment next year.
Okay.
And with the advance, just as we do advances with any of our other TIDs, we develop an amortization schedule and we'll just pay that debt service back over a few years period.
How long would you kind of guesstimate that would take? 3 years, 5?
I would do probably 5 years,
Okay.
anticipating what time Karma plans on coming online, and especially because we don't have any future development in that TID at the moment. So I would do 5 years and obviously pay it off if we have additional development.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
You asked my questions. So.
Oh,
Excellent. Anyone else? If not, we'll move on. Move on, please.
Okay, so Amendment 2, whoop.
Want to vote on them individually?
Oh, yes, I anticipate vote you, because we will need to.
So we'll do individual amendment motions and votes.
Yep.
And they'll all be but roll call votes, please. Okay, is there a motion to approve amendment number 1?
So moved.
First and second, roll call, please.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Peccarelli.
Aye.
6 ayes, no noes, motion carries.
Okay, so the second amendment would be the wage increase and the allocation across funds. I know there was some discussion about how the wage increase was going to impact this budget, and it has changed from the mayor's recommended budget. So what it did was it actually decreased all the funds that have payroll allocated to them and personnel services. So since the general fund and the sewer fund already had those amendments changed in the initial approvals that we did on November 6th, I wanted to make sure that the decreases in wage the decrease in personnel services across the solid waste fund, the civic celebrations fund, and the St. Martin's Fair Fund were implemented in the budget, but also the increased payroll allocations for the 5 TIDs that we have. We did take some additional payroll and put it towards the TIDs for the future development that is going to be going on in each of them. So I do have them spread out on that spreadsheet for you. You can see the exact amounts for payroll and then benefits.
Discussion on amendment number 2. Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to amend.
Second.
First and second, roll call, please.
Alderman Peccarelli.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
6 ayes, no noes, motion carries. Discussion on amendment number 3.
So amendment number 3, that would be from the $100,000 that we reduced in the debt service levy that was not needed for 2025. That amendment was adopted on October 15th. And then on the November 6th meeting, the reduction in the general tax levy was reduced. And overall, we were able to then allocate $25,000 of tax levy over to the library, as the mayor's recommended budget did not have any sort of increase in tax levy in it for them.
Discussion on amendment number 3.
Motion to adopt the amendment?
Second.
Yeah.
Three says motion to
Well, I think they're out of order from, or it's,
So looking
The
up
motions
here,
are here.
well,
The library one was motion 5.
Yeah.
so
One and
right
two
now
should
we've
be tied
got
together.
the TID 9 sewer Let me put my spec,
Should be 1 and 2 together.
okay,
Yes.
1 and 2 are together,
Then Amendment 2 is 3 and 4 together.
which we haven't. Okay, so we're on right
We're on
now.
number 5.
We're on number 5, so we've got a motion to approve number 5 by Alderman Craig. Who was the second on that? What's that?
I only heard Craig.
And I said second.
Okay, so we'll give to Alderman Pecorelli. Roll call on that, please.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Pecorelli.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nos, motion carries. So now, why don't we go to
Number 6, which is Amendment number 4, so aligning the Civic Celebrations Fund. What happened is the mayor's recommended budget was brought forward and adopted on September 17th. Also that same night, Civic Celebrations gave their overall impact on how the 2024 celebration went, and then asked for the funding request to be approved. That did move forward and was given authorization to execute contracts for 2025. In that case, the mayor's recommended budget did not have any of that information prior. So the same exact budget from 2024 was put into the 2025 mayor's recommended budget. So I took what was approved on September 17th for the civic celebrations and their contracts, and then also reduced the wage portion for the police and DPW services, and brought forward this motion to align it with what was being requested.
Okay, we are on motion number 6, discussion, Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions, and I did speak to the finance director about this earlier. I just want those comments for the record for everyone. I was a little bit taken aback by the amount, the difference in the two. I knew there was going to be a difference. I guess I wasn't anticipating that number, given that it's a shorter duration of days this year, as well as some of the other things that were presented on that evening in September to us. And I guess where I'm struggling is being on the finance committee and seeing all of the decisions that we had to make for all of the departments here, to just blanketly now say, yep, you get $25,000 is a hard pill for me to swallow, not knowing that that was the amount when we were discussing things with other departments. So for me, I'm in a bit of a quandary because I don't want to approve this amendment, but if I don't approve this amendment, I can't really approve the budget, and I don't want to not approve the budget. So I will begrudgingly go along with this, but with a strong word of caution to the civic celebration that they need to be on point with their numbers a lot sooner next year, because this amount of spending for a party when we're not giving things to other departments is ridiculous. I yield.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Thanks. Taking off from what Alderwoman Day just said too, we never really see an exact breakdown of expenses either from the civic celebration. And I think that would be very helpful to the council to see exactly the costs under different categories. The costs incur, so
I will say, if I do remember, they do break it down by expense almost on everything that they do, but there's a lot of costs that you will see are on the overall what they've spent, but then what they ask for the next year does not include personnel services, does not include alcohol. It doesn't include everything that you would have seen on the actual expense report. And so that's why I had made a recommendation that going forward, not only do we get that report and that presentation sooner, like maybe halfway through the year. I know it's hard when the celebration is in July, but maybe sooner, right after the celebration, so that we can really incorporate true numbers into the budget. But also just to have that discussion on really what should be presented so that the council is made aware of exactly what it costs to run the event and not just the contractual services that it takes.
thank you.
You yield?
Yes.
on a final thought on that, I agree with both alders on that. I think it's the most transparent way to do business, and you see upfront what all the costs are. And I understand that there's a lot of moving pieces to the billings that come in, their invoices, but I would think 30 to 45 days after the event, everything should be settled, paid, and squared away. And I'm sure Anna Adamski or John Berger would have absolutely zero problems getting that information to us. So I think that's a reasonable request.
And I'd be willing to even meet with them to kind of discuss prior what they have on the agenda so that we can keep track of it even sooner than when we receive a bill. So
That's very reasonable. Excellent. Okay, do we have a
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
first and a second? Roll call, please.
Alderman Peccarelli.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nos, motion carries. Madam Director of Finance, we going on to number 7 now?
Yep, number 7 is the final motion to adopt the ordinance, tax levy, solid waste fee, and all other revenues. And with that, all of the recommended changes for tonight will be put into final draft form. And technical corrections will need to be made, and then the final ordinance will be moved around for signature.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Peccarelli.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nos, motion carries. Well done, everybody, and thank you again for your extreme diligent work on this. Excellent job. Very difficult. Going back to Order G6, status update on the rewrite of the Unified Development Ordinance, which is the UDO and Noise Ordinance Update. Mr. Martinez, good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. Planning staff is pleased to inform you that this project, the rewrite of the Unified Development Ordinance and zoning map, is advancing to its last step, that is the adoption and implementation. So the next steps, or next activities in the schedule will be the public open house on December 9. So staff and the consultant will hold this open house in the hearing room. So to answer any questions or receive any input from residents. And also the public hearing, it's scheduled for the Plan Commission meeting of January 23rd next year. And the public hearing notice that will be mailed as an insert with tax bills. So that was a good timing there to allow the public notice to be distributed to the entire city. Tentatively, the adoption of the ordinance, possibly February or March before the Common Council, if everything goes well. The full draft of the ordinance, the zoning map, and the story map that kind of is an informative map of all the steps, that is available in the city's website. The link is in the action sheet. And then we're planning to post the most recent version before Thanksgiving for public comments before the open house. With regards to the noise ordinance, just want to clarify that that has two main components. So first is the noise abatement. That is kind of the process for reviewing noise complaints. That is part of the municipal code, not the UDO, so that will be adopted separately. The schedule is to have a meeting before the Plan Commission on February 22nd, and updates to the municipal code do not require a public hearing. However, there is a part that is in the UDO, that is the noise prevention, when we have a new development that will require conditional use. So the UDO has some standards for like a noise studies. That will be part of the UDO, and that will be available for discussion also in the open house and the public hearing for the UDO. With regard to the question from a resident, if this will apply to the Rocks Sports Complex, the noise prevention, no, because that's for new development, unless there is a new special use permit in the Rocks Sport Complex, then it will apply. And the noise abatement, some parts, yes, like the complaint procedure, so how long is to be considered a complaint or how many violations per day, that is going to be regulated in the new municipal code for the regulations. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about this. And there's no action required, it's just a status update.
So we're going to open up for questions in a minute, but I'm going to ask you just, if you don't mind, repeating again that portion about what applies to the rock. And if you could just say a little louder in your mic, because it was tough for me to hear.
Right.
Certain things.
Yeah. The noise prevention, that is the required studies for new development, no, because it's an existing development. Okay? Unless there is a new stadium, I don't know, that, for example, that then it will apply. And what it will apply is the noise abatement. That is the process for the review of noise complaints. Like, for example, how long is to be considered a violation, how many violations per day. That is a new regulation that will be amended in the municipal code.
In the municipal code.
Correct, the noise abatement, yeah.
Got it. Okay. I did it on purpose. I want to get that out there.
Right. So there are two separate codes. You have your UDO,
Madam Director.
which, thank you, sorry. You have your UDO, which will address new developments or any changes that would apply to that development. And then you also have your municipal code, which is essentially the enforcement piece of our code, and that will apply to that particular development, as well as every other one.
Thank you. Alderwoman Day?
Thank you. So you mentioned that you are putting something in the tax bill for everybody for the public hearing for the Plan Commission, correct?
Correct, for the public hearing,
Okay.
yes.
And then my only other question is, I know it's a very large document, but is there a way to have at least one paper copy at like the clerk's office or something if somebody wanted to come in and have hands on it and peruse through it that way rather than use
Yeah,
the web link?
we can make a copy. To have
Okay,
it at
I'm
City
not
Hall
saying
or
many
library,
copies, just,
yeah.
a copy in the clerk's office like they
Yep.
do for the budget, just in case there's someone that really wants to touch it.
Okay, yep, sure.
Right. Further discussion on this?
Motion to place on file.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Mr. Martinez, thank you very much. Resolution authorizing certain officials to execute a quarry monitoring services agreement with Stantec Consulting Services, Inc. Mr. Martinez, this is also you.
The quarry monitoring services agreement that is presented every year, the quarry monitoring committee and the council. There are no major changes to the services, and the amount also remained. This was presented before the quarry monitoring committee in October, and the committee recommended this to be presented before the common council, and staff is recommending approval.
Thank you. Mr. Barber?
Like Regular said, there have been a few changes that have been made to the contract over last year based upon some of the observations of the consultant and some better reporting processes that give us better data. This is a no fiscal impact. It is a pass-through from the quarry to the budget. They are responsible for paying for the monitoring fees, so there's no fiscal impact.
Right. There's a motion here to adopt. If you want to make that motion, Mr. Barber.
I'll second.
Okay, first and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regulo. G8, authorize staff to award the DPW Campus Utilities Project to the lowest bidder, UPI Construction LLC. Madam Director of Administration.
At this time, I would like to also invite up the superintendent of DPW who is here, just in case there's anything that he would like to add, being the person that is really kind of in the middle of all of it.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Superintendent Schleter. Good evening and welcome. Why don't we do this? I think everybody looked at this. If you've got questions for Mr. Schleter, starting with Alderwoman Eichmann.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Chief.
My first question is under the fiscal note, where it states the project was initially intended to be funded by ARPA funds. The availability and amount of these funds will need to be reviewed and confirmed to ensure the project's financial viability within the city's budget allocations. So we don't know those exact funds quite yet, is my question and concern, or?
This was initially brought forward back in March, and the anticipated allocation from using ARPA funds was going to be roughly $930,000, and none of that has been used. So I would say we are well within the budgeted amount for this project.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, you have further discussion?
Can we do a roll call, please?
Oh, I see where this is going. Roll call, please.
Alderman Pecorelli?
And I asked a question before, so.
Oh, yes, further discussion. Alderman
All right.
Pecorelli.
So we got 930 right now that's in ARPA funds. So those would fully cover this effort. And is there any other costs that we're expecting to come up, or do we think we have everything covered at this point? Because I know this is something where we didn't have, is this the one we didn't have
Contingency,
contingency?
this is
in?
not the one, but I would,
Terrible.
is this amount including a 10% contingency and everything, or are we going to need above and beyond this contract amount for the project?
This does not have a contingency
Right.
for this part,
Okay.
yes. But we have the,
Have to discuss that. Go ahead.
but
No,
you
go
had-
ahead. Speak into here so we all
You
got it.
had the previous 150,000 that was approved at the last council. So we do have some contingency already, but this particular project, as far as I know, there is no contingency built into it.
Into this piece.
However, it is significantly under what the estimation was, which was 800,000, and we have the ARPA funds that are earmarked for it. So technically, there is money within the earmarked amount and the actual budget, rather the bid from the lowest bidder.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Pecorelli?
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichmann?
Aye.
Alderman Hassan?
Aye.
Alderwoman Day?
Abstain.
Alderman Barber?
Aye.
Alderman Craig?
Aye.
5 ayes, no nos, 1 abstention, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution to award the South 116th Street Trail contract to Wilcom Excavating for $893,321.53. Madam Director of Administration.
So we have received a TAP grant for this. It'll cover roughly 80% of the expenses. And this is a project that has been in the works over the last several years. This will actually take us to breaking ground and moving this forward. We have, obviously, Wilcom Excavating is the lowest bid, and we are asking to award a bidder for the project, so that way we can move it forward.
Move to approve.
Alderwoman Day.
Same questions as kind of the last one. So this bid is well under what we were estimating, and we're confident that this company will meet the needs that we have for the project.
Yes.
And same question, similar to Alderman Pecorelli for the last, for contingency funds, do we have any additional funding built into this? Do we need to, for particular motion, build in extra funds, or are we okay?
No, we have roughly over $1 million total left of this project for use.
Okay, great, thank you.
So in my short memory issues, who made the motion?
First.
Mr. Craig, is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Hassan. Roll call on this, please.
Alderman Craig?
Aye.
Alderman Barber?
Aye.
Alderwoman Day?
Aye.
Alderman Hassan?
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichmann?
Aye.
Alderman Pecorelli?
Abstain.
5 ayes, no nos, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Let's see here. G11, a resolution authorizing certain officials to execute an agreement with ClearGov, Inc. for budgeting and planning software implementation. Madam Director of Administration.
This is essentially just approving the standard form agreement that we have that accompanies most of our, if not all of our contracts. So the actual plans have been approved both in December of last year and also this year. So this is a request to authorize the contract.
I'll make the motion to adopt.
Second.
First and second by Mr. Barber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Let's see here. Why don't we, before we go into item G12, which will be going into, when we might go into closed session, well, let's do this. If we do, then we'll take a break. If we don't go into closed, then we'll keep going.
You want to do H&I first?
Say it again?
So do H&I first?
H&I
Why don't-
first.
I heard. I'm just looking at her and just enjoy your Coke.
Thank you.
Because I wish I had one. That's why I want to go for a 5-minute break to go get my Coke.
Is there a reason to go into closed session? That's known?
Mr. City Attorney, what do you think?
Here's one potential item. And I think overall, in that regard, and getting into details of the negotiations, which went on right up until 5 o'clock or
Yeah.
so today,
Okay.
perhaps a closed session is
Yes, sir.
warranted.
All right, a motion to enter in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, sub 1, sub E as in Edward, for competitive and bargaining reasons, to deliberate and consider terms relating to a potential First Amendment to Tax Incremental District Number 8, development agreement between the City of Franklin and Oakwood Industrial LLC, and the investing of public funds and governmental actions in relation thereto, and to re-enter into open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate.
Motion to go into closed.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Alderman Peccarelli.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Six ayes, no noes. We'll be going into a closed session and we'll take a 5-minute. We are back in open session. Mr. City Attorney, could you please make the motion?
A motion to adopt a resolution authorizing certain officials to execute a First Amendment to Tax Incremental District Number 8 Development Agreement between the City of Franklin and Oakwood Industrial LLC and the buyer of Parcel 1. And with regard to, in addition to another change of the resolution in the common council packet, instead of, well, it's the third last line in the now therefore, subject to, I would change the, or changes, the subject to changes approved by the Director of Administration, the Director of Finance and Treasurer, the Director of Economic Development, and the City Attorney.
Is that the complete motion, sir?
Yes.
We have a motion?
I will make the motion.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Peccarelli.
Aye. 6 ayes, no noes, motion carries. Moving on to H's and Henry, licensing, who will be taking this tonight? Alderwoman Eichman, you've got the floor.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. The license committee met this evening, and all operators and Class B beer, Class A combination, People Uniting for the Betterment of Life and Investment in the Community grant. Another grant for the Civic Celebration, another for the Fleet Reserve, as well as the Franklin Park concerts. So everything listed on both pages was approved this evening.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Craig. All those in favor?
Question?
Uh-oh, Mr. Barber.
What is People Uniting for the Betterment of Life and Investment in the Community? What is
That's
that?
exactly what it is.
It's a grant.
Mr. City Attorney?
It's a public grant offered by the city of Franklin.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. We're going to go back first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Go as an Ida. 3 points. This will also be a roll call. Motion approving city vouchers with an ending date of November 14, 2024, in the amount of $2,062,358.37. Point two, payroll dated November 15, 2024, in the amount of $478,330.29, and payments of the various payroll deductions in the amount of $242,578.38, plus city matching payments, and estimated payroll dated November 29, 2024, in the amount of $480,000, and payments of the various payroll deductions in the amount of $495,000, plus city matching payments.
So move.
Second.
First and seconded by Alderman Craig. Roll call, please.
Alderman Pecorelli.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
6 ayes, no noes, motion carries. Is there a motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
first is by Alderwoman Eichman, seconded by Alderman Pecorelli. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's 8:24. We are adjourned.